Welcome to Win with Will. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you for being with me today. This is going to be week 18 of my dividend portfolio journey, going from the week of 1020 to 1024, 2025, if we're looking at this 10 years in the future. My name is Will, and thank you guys for joining me. We'll be updating you guys with my progress with my dividend portfolio journey. So let's jump right into it. And who am I, and why am I here? Well, why did I start this channel? First and foremost, I started this channel to document my progress, to show my friends and family how simple it is to start investing, also to teach my kids financial education and help others teach their children as well. You may not know where to start those conversations with your children, but you can use my channel as a launching point. But more importantly, I want it to be that place where people can go to see how someone can start small and work their way up. Most of the YouTube channels that you see floating around are going to be people with these huge accounts and portfolios where they got 6 figures, 7 figures, making $10,000 a day, things like that, which is it's all great and it's good motivation, but the average person cannot see themselves starting there, right? So I wanted to be able to start a channel to show people how you can start small where you are and work your way up to where you want to be. Started my channel with $5,000 out of pocket. And so that's basically the reason why I started. I wanted to be able to show people that a regular everyday guy like myself from the south side of Chicago can start building towards their financial future and inspire others to do the same as well. Now, don't make me have to get the legal team on you guys, okay? I don't want to have to go and get Jackie. I am not a financial advisor. The content shared here is for entertainment and educational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. Please do your own due diligence, guys. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of capital. And so my channel is to document my journey and experience, share it with you guys, let you guys see how things are working for me, which could help you make a more informed decision on what's best for you. But again, not financial advice. Now that that's out of the way, let's talk a little bit about my portfolio goals. My short term goal is to generate $1,000 a month in dividend income and to have about $10,000 invested into my account. Midterm goal, $5,000 a month in dividend income and to have about $50,000 invested in my account. For most people, $5,000 a month, $60,000 a year, and monthly recurring dividend income is enough to replace a full-time job. And long-term goal, $100,000 a year, 6 figures in dividend income. So, I know why we are here. We want to see the money. And let's see how this is all working for us right now. This, again, week 18. These results are updated as of this last Friday, which should have been 1024. Yes, 1024. I'm actually recording this on Sunday, 1026. If you guys have been following my channel, I go into the numbers where you can see my weekly results of my dividend earnings, and I go into the various funds that I'm invested in on the next page. But this week, you're in for a treat. Since I have not set aside the time to go into a deep dive video in a while into all of my funds and why I picked them and all of these things, I'm actually going to do a little bit of number crunching to show you guys how right now I am ahead, even though some of the funds are going down. But I'll jump into some numbers and show you a calculator to show you my progress thus far. But I started this account in late June. Again, started with $5,000. Out of pocket over time, putting in a little bit here and there, a little bit here and there. I've got about $8,000 out of pocket that I've put into the account after starting with the $5,000. My most recent payout, which was this weekend on 10/25, $191.41. Not bad at all. cumulative earnings from dividends alone, $3,030.70, which is a cumulative dividend earning percentage of almost 37.8% from the time that I started about 4 months ago. Not bad at all as far as the dividend side is concerned. But now let's take a look into more details into the various funds, how they're performing, and things like that. So, one, two, three. First three funds that we're going to look at here are all Granite Shares weekly paying funds. Granite Shares is a company that puts out these ETFs, and the idea is to generate recurring income for the investors. The other three funds are all Yield Max weekly pairs, and if you've been following recently, you'll see that these funds have recently moved to weekly pairs with Yield Max, in which case they had a small amount percentage of their funds were weekly pairs, but the overall majority of the funds that they have were monthly pairs. But because of I would say the growing demand and the interest in the public of having weekly pairs, they moved majority of all of their funds to weekly pairs now. So let's start with TSYY. This fund follows Tesla. As Tesla has its highs and lows, this fund is set to try to give you positive results when Tesla's going positive. But overall, I have 494 shares of TSYY fund. As of Friday, this current price for the fund was $7.60, which overall is down for me about 21.49% because my average purchase price is $9.67, which gives me a total of $3,754.40 invested into TSYY. This week's payout was 21 cents per share, which got me $103.74 for this week. Not bad at all. And when you think about the actual price or the cost of the fund, $7.60, versus the payout for the fund, 21 cents, it's giving out about a 2.76%. So I like to put this on here to kind of give you a gauge of just if you're thinking of it in terms of this. If I had $100 to put into this fund, I would make about $2.76 per week based off of the current numbers. But again, these numbers are always changing. As the fund goes down in price, typically what we see is that the dividend payout slightly decreases as well. So the hope over the long term is that some of these funds that have been on a decline will eventually start to rebound, bounce back. But even if they're not based off my strategy, which is right now my number one strategy is dividend income and generating recurring weekly income from these funds. Even though the funds have been dipping and declining, my payouts have been pretty nice and consistent over time. So let's get to the next one. XBTY, which follows Bitcoin, and I'll speed these up, and it's just so I don't have this video going too long. But XBTY follows Bitcoin, 20 shares. This week it paid out 31 cents, got me $6.20. Haven't bought more since I've started the program. NVYY follows Nvidia stock, and I have 49 shares. This week's payout 44 cents, which got me $21.56. OT, this fund follows a group of stocks, so they invest in multiple stocks in order to generate a recurrent income for the investors. I've got 493 shares of OT. This week, still paying out 9 cents. Been paying out 9 cents for a nice little while now, and holding steady at $44.37. Misty, I knew this one was not going to stay paying out a crazy like 80 cents or something. It paid out last week because that was the first week it went to the weeklies. So I've got 50 shares of Misty. This week it came back down to earth to a more realistic price, paid out 21 cents. And so I'm going to expect it to hover around this range, maybe a little bit up or down as the fund price fluctuates with Misty. But $10.50 this week from $30 last week. So again, I was expecting this, so I'm not alarmed that it had such a decline. No way it was going to continue to pay out like 60 or 80 cents for these two as it paid out last week. But SMCY, this is the newest addition to the party. Misty follows the stock MSTR, big heavy tech Bitcoin investing company. SMCY follows SMCI, semiconductor company. Again, in the tech space, you think your computer processors and things like that. So as this fund kind of has its highs and lows, SMCI follows SMCY, follows SMCI. Bought a few more shares of SMCY, up to 21 shares now. Fund price $14.12. Again, 24 cents per share, more realistic than about the 80 cents or whatever it paid out last week. So $5.04. Got me my grand total that I showed you on the last page, $191.41. Now, again, if we look at the overall pricing, so based off the average purchase price of each of the funds, this would actually pretty much hit my first goal, which is having $10,000 invested into the account. So when we factor in the $8,000 out of pocket that I've put into the funds, plus all of the reinvesting that I do every single week with the payouts, you would see $10,985.40, which would be the total value of what has been paid for all the funds. But again, only $8,000 out of pocket, the rest from reinvesting. But the actual value of these funds right now is down $8,000, almost $600. So overall, the portfolio would be considered down if we were just going off of the price of the funds based off the purchase price versus the current price. So it would be down $2,385.99. Not good. So we want this to go up, obviously, over time. But even with that being said, with the value of the portfolio being down by almost $2,400, I'm still up overall because my dividend earnings are over $3,000. So about $700 up overall compared to the amount of loss based off of the fund pricing. So I just thought it'd be fun to crunch a little bit of numbers to have a little perspective to see, all right, is this, working? Is this, was this a dumb idea? Was this, is this something that some other people should consider for themselves, right? So if we look at the numbers, let's just say right now, right, these are my last several weeks of payouts: 167, 226, 180, 180, 210, 191. Some of these were a little inflated because of the monthly payers. We're paying out bigger amounts every now and then. So right now, this is a more realistic number, $191.41, based off of the true values of the payouts for each of the funds. So let's even take that number down. Let's just say I didn't reinvest anything and I was just generating about $150 per week for my funds. If you factor that out, and instead of reinvesting anything, I just let the money accumulate, or I piled the money up into my portfolio account. If you do $150 a week, again, I'm at 191 this week, but let's just do more conservative numbers. $150 a week. If we factored that out for 52 weeks, we're looking at $7,800 for the year. Again, out of pocket costs for my account, $8,000. So if you could put $8,000 into my portfolio, I can generate almost $8,000 a year without putting another dime into the account. Is that winning or is that losing? Looking even at the decline in the fund pricing. Now, $150, again, this is all just, crunching numbers, doing some hypotheticals, but even if it dropped a little bit below that, let's just say if I'm generating $5,000 per year for the next 5 years off of an $8,000 investment, is that winning? I say yes. But again, these numbers can go higher and higher if the funds start to turn around. So again, there's a lot of wiggle room here to play with. But again, the overall idea is $7,800, even if I was just getting $150 a week based off an $8,000 investment. Not bad at all. Next, let's look at one other number and then we'll move on. The actual value of the fund right now, about $8,600. Out of pocket right now, $8,000. So let's just hypothetically say if I was done with all of this, I've got a family emergency. I need to completely cash out my account. I can cash out my account right now and be up about $600 over the last 4 months. So now let's see how does that compare to $8,000 invested. So $600 divided by $8,000 out of pocket equals, and then we move the decimal point over 2 spots to show my percentage. That would be, I would be up 7.5% on my portfolio over 4 months. For a lot of people that are in the investing space, a 5% rate of return over the course of a year is a great goal. 7.5%, even if that was more of a more inflated goal, right? Between 5 to 10% for the year. We're at 7.5% over the first 4 months if I were to completely cash out my account. If that money was sitting in my bank account at $8,000, getting like 1% a year, well, we're talking about what, $80 for the year? If I had that money just sitting in a bank account getting about 1%, I'm already up 7.5% over the first 4 months. So, am I winning with my strategy? I would say yes. Could this be doing even better with other stocks or high performing growth stocks and things like that? There's so many different strategies and options that you can use for your journey. But for my journey, I feel like I am still winning, even though we would definitely love to see these funds turn around and do much better in the future. But all that being said, this is me documenting my progress and my journey so that you guys can make more informed decisions for yourself. And if we were starting today, like some people that may have been sitting on the fence, watching, researching, if we're starting today and I was putting my $8,000 in, getting these funds at $7.60, $15.97, $5, $11, $14 compared to when I first started. Is today even a better day to have been getting started? Yes, that's the answer. So, guys, if you like this content, again, I've gone a lot longer than what I normally do, but please like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel. I love every single one of you guys for participating, for joining, for commenting, for your input, for your feedback, for your encouragement. Please subscribe though, because it does help get the content out to more and more people as we get more and more engagement with the channel. So I do comment and reply back to every single person that does share comments on the channel, and I really appreciate you guys. But before we move on, let's be like Kirk Chains here. And let's get started and let's go. If you are, again, one of these people that's been on the fence, you've been doing your due diligence, you've been doing your research, you've been thinking about what platforms you want to use, what stocks, what funds you want to invest in, what's stopping you from getting started, guys? Nothing will get you to where you want to be if you never take the first step on your journey. So let that maybe be you today to get going. And I like to leave you guys with a quote, and I really love this diagram because most people see the success at the top. They see the mountain, they see the huge growth, and they see where you are today, or you see that person that you admire and that you look up to. I'm really big into sports, so this is, you see a lot of athletes that talk about this. You see where they are today and how well they're doing and their success on the top, but below the surface. Below the surface is where everything happened to get them to that point. The hard work, the persistence, the late nights, the rejections, sacrifices, discipline, criticism, doubts, failure, risk. All of these things are encompassing of the person that eventually got to where they want to be because they did all of these things when nobody was looking. You see where they are today. You see all of the accolades. You see the big portfolios. You see, everything of where you can see yourself wanting to be, but you didn't see the things that happened to get them there. So let's do the things that we need to do on an everyday basis, even when we don't want to, even when you may be making YouTube videos where you want to just lay down and rest, right? But everybody has their own journey, but it's the little things that you do every day that get you to where you want to be eventually. So thank you so much, guys. I'm going to leave a couple of links here at the end, which will be my last week update, as well as when I did do my last deep dive video. I know I've been promising to do another one. I will get to it eventually, guys. I promise you that. But I really appreciate every single person for joining today, especially if you stayed to the end. You have an excellent rest of your day, guys. Bye now.